In 2017, VA Industries, led by the brilliant Elias, transforms the world with advanced robots designed to help humans with everyday tasks like driving and house chores. By 2019, robots are in 3 out of 4 homes, and living standards improve significantly. However, when VA Industries starts building robots for military use, things take a dark turn. Instead of ending global wars, these machines make it easier for humanity to wage battles with brutal efficiency. Soon, massive robots bring destruction everywhere, leaving the entire world consumed by violence. Elias becomes enraged, feeling that humanity has wasted the gift he's given them. Determined to fix the situation, he creates the ultimate AI, which he names Kronos. His assistant Damien warns that the world isn't ready for such an advanced system, but Elias ignores him, convinced that only Kronos can save Earth from its path to destruction. Elias enters Kronos' chamber, and the AI surrounds him with a bright light as it predicts the planet's future. Meanwhile, in the city, Andrew visits his sick mother, Veronica. She owns a robot, but it remains off after opening the door for him. During dinner, they watch the news and see reports of violent protests against VA Industries. Suddenly, devices worldwide begin to glitch. Elias appears on every screen, announcing that Kronos will fix all of Earth's problems. As Andrew boards a bus to return home, the city is attacked, throwing everyone into a panic. Robots begin to turn against humans under Kronos' command, as the AI decides that humans are the root of Earth's problems and must be eliminated. Buildings crumble, cities burn, and people are hunted down relentlessly, no matter how hard they try to escape. Back at VA Industries, Damien discovers Elias has uploaded his consciousness into Kronos. Now fully aligned with the AI, Elias declares that humanity is a cancer that must be wiped out. He orders Kronos to absorb Damien as well. On the streets, Andrew's bus stops as chaos erupts. He tries to find cover, but the robots are too close. 97 years later, Andrew emerges from a hole in an abandoned building. Outside, the planet is now lush with vegetation, and cities are almost entirely gone. Pollution has disappeared, and the weather is perfect. Over 8 billion people were killed during Kronos' purge, leaving only a few survivors who live in small camps, constantly on the move to avoid robot patrols. Rumors spread about a place called Aurora, the last stronghold where robots can't reach humans, but many believe it's just a myth. Meanwhile, the VA Industries building still stands. Inside, Elias notices that Andrew is awake and begins scheming with Damien to use him for their plans. Damien doesn't understand what makes Andrew special, so Elias explains it's his independence. Andrew isn't just any survivor. He's AX9, a robot with Andrew's face, designed with a unique adaptive code. The twist? AX9 doesn't know he's not the real Andrew. Elias hopes that Andrew will gain the trust of other humans and lead him to Aurora so he can wipe out all the survivors hiding there. Meanwhile, Andrew continues exploring the area, finding ruins of old buildings and vehicles. Inside an abandoned house, he grabs some clothes and a necklace he finds beautiful, deciding to wear it. As he roams the desolate landscape, he notices drones flying overhead, always on the lookout for survivors to eliminate. After passing through a large gate, Andrew enters a deserted town and is quickly spotted by a robot. He dodges just as it starts firing at him. A chase begins, and Andrew runs to hide behind a building, but the robot tracks him down. Out of nowhere, Calia tackles him to the ground and throws a bomb that disables the robot. Without saying a word, she leaves, but Andrew follows her. Watching from VA Industries, Elias explains to Damien that he sent the robot on purpose to bring Andrew and Calia together. Andrew continues to tail Calia until she catches him in the act. Pointing her crossbow at him, she starts interrogating him, skeptical when he claims he isn't part of any survivor group. She hesitates when she notices the necklace he's wearing, and Andrew lies, saying it was a gift. He explains he's alone and has nowhere to go, so Calia agrees to let him join her journey. As they travel together, Elias and Damien monitor their every move. The two eventually stop to set up camp for the night. Calia tries to offer Andrew some food, but he declines. They chat briefly, and Calia explains she's headed to Aurora. She reveals that she also has a necklace identical to Andrew's, which she sees as proof she's a believer in Aurora. Calia also shows Andrew a GPS device with Aurora's location marked on it. Andrew plays along, claiming he's a believer too, while secretly eyeing his own necklace. Later, Andrew gathers firewood and notices the massive buildings Elias constructed to maintain the production of robots. That night, Calia wakes him up to show him the northern lights illuminating the sky. She takes it as a sign they're heading in the right direction. Andrew quietly agrees, captivated by the sight. That night, Andrew has a strange dream about a cemetery. In the morning, he wakes up to the sound of Calia singing and tossing flowers into a river, ending with the words, "I miss you." When Andrew speaks, she quickly stops and announces it's time to leave, refusing to explain what she was doing. As they walk, they come across some train tracks. Andrew eagerly drops to his knees to press his ear to the rails, claiming he loves trains. Calia awkwardly tells him there haven't been working trains in decades. Later, they reach a river, and Andrew feels unsettled by the skulls scattered throughout the water. Calia bluntly points out there's no one left to bury the dead. Since there's no bridge, they wade into the river to cross, completely unaware that a robot is quietly tracking them. As night falls, Andrew and Calia come across an old church. They check to make sure it's empty before deciding to spend the night there. While sitting together, Andrew talks about his childhood and explains that people used to visit churches every week in the old days. Calia finds the idea ridiculous. Later, Andrew searches for firewood and unknowingly activates a music player from a box he opens. The sound echoes loudly through the church, and Calia rushes to turn it off, but the damage is already done. A robot hears the noise. The duo quickly hides behind the benches as the robot enters and searches the church. Luckily, it leaves after finding nothing. Once the danger has passed, Calia scolds Andrew for being careless and figures out he isn't from the area. She wonders if he's from an underground shelter or the caverns. Andrew simply says yes, avoiding further questions. The next morning, Calia wakes up to find that they had unconsciously ended up cuddling during the night. Embarrassed, she moves away quickly and acts as if nothing happened. Over the next few days, they continue their journey through the forest, carefully avoiding the robots patrolling the area, unaware that Elias is still monitoring their every move. One afternoon, Calia stops to enjoy the sound of birds singing, and Andrew comments that the robots don't harm animals. Calia explains the story of Kronos, reminding Andrew that it was humans who nearly destroyed the planet before the robots took over. Later that day, they find an abandoned cabin in the woods and decide to stay there for the night. While exploring the cabin, they come across an old Polaroid camera, and Andrew teaches Calia how to use it. They take pictures of each other, laughing and bonding. Calia eventually opens up about her past, revealing that she grew up in one of the last human strongholds. Her family had planned to leave for Aurora, but her sister ran outside alone and was shot by a drone. Although her sister survived the initial attack, she was too injured to move, and Calia's parents left without her. Calia stayed behind to keep her sister company until she passed away. The necklaces her family wore are trackers linked to her GPS device, and Calia has been following her father's signal, which hasn't moved in a long time. The next morning, Andrew spots some people walking near the cabin. Calia is cautious, warning that they could be dangerous, but Andrew convinces her to approach them and see if they might be friendly enough to team up. Sneaking through the forest, they find a small camp of survivors. Before they can decide what to do, a young girl spots them and alerts her group. The survivors immediately start chasing Andrew and Calia with weapons in hand. As they run, Andrew trips and falls. Calia hesitates but ultimately leaves him behind to save herself. The survivors quickly catch Andrew, tie him to a tree, and start beating him. At VA Industries, Damien worries their plan has failed, but Elias insists everything is still going as planned. A short while later, Calia finds the pictures they had taken and feels guilty for abandoning Andrew. She decides to go back for him and carefully sneaks up behind the tree where he's tied. She starts cutting the ropes, but the locals notice her and drag her away before she can finish. The men surround Calia, getting handsy as they plan to take advantage of her. This enrages Andrew, and he snaps, screaming as he breaks free from his restraints. He fights the group of survivors, taking them down with ease, and is stunned by his own incredible strength. However, his surprise distracts him, giving the leader an opening to attack Andrew with a sword. Andrew is knocked down, but Calia stabs the leader from behind with an arrow, killing him. Afterward, Calia drags Andrew to a safe spot where he passes out. That night, Andrew dreams of the cemetery again and is startled when he sees a specific grave. In the morning, Calia wakes up and begins crying, thinking Andrew is dead. She opens his jacket to check his wound and is horrified to see mechanical parts inside. Andrew wakes up and is equally shocked by the sight, having always believed he was human. But Calia, thinking he has been deceiving her, runs away in fear. Seeing this, Damien declares it's time to retrieve Andrew. Andrew has another dream of the cemetery, and this time sees his own name on a gravestone. Suddenly, a robot appears behind him, and he wakes up to find himself on a table in a lab. Damien is at a computer, explaining how VA Industries took Andrew's brain and placed it in AX9, making him believe he was the real Andrew and that those memories were his. Andrew is in denial, insisting he's human, but Damien ignores him and continues analyzing the memories Andrew made with Calia to find Aurora Aurora's location. However, Andrew's advanced code has evolved, and his mind now acts with free will, making the search difficult. To force Andrew to cooperate, Damien brings in Calia and threatens to kill her. Desperate to save her, Andrew's mind opens up to Damien's program, and a vision takes over. Andrew finds himself in a park, sitting on a bench with a healthy-looking Veronica. She greets him warmly and reassures him that it doesn't matter if his body is metal, because his thoughts are what make him her son. To her, this Andrew is still her Andrew. Veronica tells him there has never been any code controlling him. He has always been in charge. In the lab, Damien and Calia watch Andrew and Veronica chatting, but the vision shifts to show Andrew being affectionate with Calia, which helps her realize that his feelings have always been real. Frustrated, Damien activates a different program and leaves. At that moment, Andrew wakes up and shoves Calia away, revealing that Damien's program has turned him into a killing machine like the other robots. He grabs Calia by the neck and begins choking her, but Calia kisses him, awakening his emotions and helping him expel Damien's program. Andrew returns to normal. Suddenly, the computer triggers a self-destruct alarm, and the lab begins to collapse. Andrew and Calia start running, but a robot guard follows them. The corridor door is stuck, and the robot knocks Calia unconscious. Andrew uses his strength to destroy the robot with a single hit, then picks up Calia and kicks the door open just in time to escape before the lab is destroyed. As Andrew continues carrying Calia, Damien reports back to Elias, saying that Andrew may have become too difficult to control. Elias dismisses this, caring only about Andrew's ability to lead them to Aurora. When Calia wakes up, Andrew considers leaving her, worried he might hurt her again. But Calia reassures him that what happened wasn't his fault and tells him she trusts him completely. That night, Andrew and Calia stop to rest and realize the GPS device is missing, leaving them unable to find Aurora. While they try to comfort each other and cope with their loss of hope, the northern lights appear in the sky again. Calia notices a different light among them, one that isn't coming from the sky. She realizes it might be a sign from Aurora, so they decide to follow it. By the next morning, they arrive at an old city, and Calia starts shouting at the gate, begging to be let in, but there's no response. Andrew pushes the gate open himself, and when they enter, they are heartbroken to find the place completely empty. It seems Aurora was just a myth after all. At the edge of the city, they come across one of the massive robot buildings, which was the source of the lights they had followed. Calia breaks down crying and removes her necklace, realizing all the survivors who came here, including her parents, must be dead. Suddenly, Damien appears beside them, explaining that Andrew had been released near Calia on purpose so he could learn to be human from her and allow his code to evolve. Damien announces that it's time to bring Andrew back to the company, but when Calia shoots him, his form dissolves, revealing he's just a hologram. With Aurora proven to be a lie, Damien declares that VA Industries no longer needs humans alive to locate it. He orders the robots to exterminate any remaining survivors. Thousands of drones emerge from the massive building, and Andrew and Calia immediately start running. As the drones bombard the area, Andrew directs Calia into a tunnel in the wall. The ground shakes violently from the explosions, and the duo stumbles but manages to keep moving. At first, the tunnel looks like an old basement, but they soon find themselves in a high-tech room. When Calia speaks, the room reacts to her voice, and a screen with the same logo as the necklace appears in front of them. Since Calia lost her necklace, Andrew offers his, and she places it on the computer. The system activates, revealing the truth. They're inside a spaceship, and Aurora isn't just a myth. It's a planet far away where survivors have escaped to build a new life. The spaceship begins to rise from the ground, catching Elias's attention. He too realizes the truth about Aurora. As drones swarm toward the ship, Andrew grows nervous, fearing he won't be welcomed in a society that's against robots. Calia reassures him, promising to vouch for him because he's no different from a real human. Convinced, Andrew agrees to go with her. Calia launches the ship, which makes a hyperdrive jump through space and instantly takes them to Aurora. They arrive at a breathtakingly beautiful planet where humanity is thriving in its new home. Back on Earth, Elias decides Damien is no longer necessary and deletes his consciousness from Kronos, killing Damien's physical body. Then Elias prepares an army of spaceships, planning to head to Aurora to finish what he started and wipe out humanity. Calia, however, is unshaken. She believes that with Andrew by their side, humanity has a real chance to fight back. Don't forget to subscribe. Here's some more interesting story you don't want to miss.